Welcome to Chapter 20, The Gilded Age. Just how gilded was it? The Gilded Age was a period of rapid change in the United States. This chapter looks at how the nation's political and cultural life was impacted by the period's changes. Granted, there was a lot of corruption and coarse behavior during this time. However, advances in art, music, literature, dance, and education make the term gilded not so far-fetched after all. Politics was certainly corrupt. Politicians bought votes, parties cheated in ballot counting, and big business bought legislatures wholesale. The spoils system came into full bloom during the Gilded Age, and winning parties and candidates rewarded their supporters with lucrative positions that were appointed or government contracts. This was highly ineffective or highly inefficient, actually, and wasted a lot of taxpayers' money. The Pendleton Act of 1883, however, brought some positive change in that regard because it required that at least some federal positions be filled by competitive exams and that some promotions, at least, be based on competence, not just an appointment. The parties were pretty much evenly matched during the Gilded Age, and politics was very important to even the average citizen. Political campaign rallies were huge social events at the time, and political contests often had this air similar to that of a modern-day sports event. Republicans were typically backed by Union veterans, evangelical Protestants, and blacks. The Democrats had the support of white Southerners and many Catholics and immigrants. The 1890s saw the rise of the Populist Party, which called for modest reform of the political system and substantial changes in the economic policy to favor farmers and the lower class. The party enjoyed some success in the early part of the decade. The 1896 election was a watershed event. The Republicans nominated William McKinley, who favored keeping the national gold standard. Then the Democrats, and then later the Populists who joined on board, chose William Jennings Bryan as their candidate. He supported the silver standard. The Republicans drastically outspent their opponents, and McKinley won the election. There were other important aspects of the Gilded Age too. With the works of Mark Twain, Jack London, and others, American literature developed styles that better reflected American life. And that included the life of the lower classes that were present here. Painters experimented with bold styles that were influenced by European artists, and architects developed mainly uniquely American styles, including skyscrapers. Meanwhile, the masses flocked to baseball games and boxing matches and went to amusement parks and vaudeville performances. Don't forget to check out the link of vaudeville dance steps below. Music expanded into new forms such as ragtime, jazz, and the blues. Newspapers became cheaper and were able to offer readers a wider variety of news and features, though much of it was sensational at the time. And not sensational in a good way, not like, that's great, sensational, but sensational as in blown out of proportion. Education made great strides during the Gilded Age. Public schools expanded enormously, with most states expanding compulsory attendance. So students were made to go to school at least through the 8th grade in most states. New colleges started popping up, and that was with the help of funding provided from the federal level, the Morrill Land Grant College Act. College curricula moved away from the classical studies to include social sciences, modern language, and the professions, and some schools even began offering graduate degrees. New ways of thinking also appeared. Reform Darwinism stimulated progressive ideas and actions. Oliver Wendell Holmes challenged the notion that the law was a static body composed of enlightened masters from the past. Finally, the pragmatist philosophers called for the development of practical ideas that could be used to make the world a better place now.